A chilling Nazi officer named Landa manipulates a French farmer into exposing a hidden Jewish family, with tragic results. In the quiet countryside of Nazi-occupied France, 1941, a dairy farmer named Perrier Lapidite chops wood outside his modest home. But peace quickly dies when a black SS car snakes up his driveway. Out steps Colonel Hans Landa, polite, charming, and terrifying. Nicknamed the Jew Hunter, Landa's reputation precedes him. Even if his boots remain spotless, Landa begins with small talk, complimenting the milk and admiring the cows. But it's not long before he gets to the point. The German army suspects the Lapidite family is hiding Jews. The colonel's soft voice and pleasant manner only amplify the menace behind his words. He doesn't interrogate, he ensnares. And the moment Perrier lights his pipe, Landa matches it with a ridiculous Sherlock Holmes-style pipe of his own. It's psychological warfare, and Lapidite is clearly losing. Then Landa pulls out a map and talks about Jewish migration patterns as if he were a historian. But it's all a ruse. He already knows. Lapidite's strength crumbles. With sweat on his brow and trembling hands, he finally confesses, the Dreyfus family hides under the floorboards directly beneath their feet. Landa thanks him, cordially, even shakes his hand. Outside, Landa switches to English so the hidden family below can't understand. He signals the SS soldiers to step inside and fire downward. In a sudden, deafening burst, bullets rip through the wooden floor. Silence follows, except for the gasping breath of one survivor. Covered in blood and horror, a teenage girl bursts from under the floorboards and sprints into the open fields. Shosanna Dreyfus, the youngest daughter of the now-dead family, runs for her life. Landa calmly steps outside, watches her escape and draws his pistol. But instead of firing, he simply smirks and bellows after her, "Au revoir, Shosanna." He lets her go, not out of mercy, but out of cruelty, to haunt her with survival, to savor her fear. In that single brutal opening, Quentin Tarantino lays the foundation. This isn't history. It's a revenge tale simmering in blood, smoke, and trauma. Shosanna is still alive, and her story is far from over. Meanwhile, the camera lingers on Landa's satisfied smile, a haunting mask of civility and horror. 3 years later, the war escalated, and so did the legend of an elite American unit operating behind enemy lines, the Basterds. This team is no ordinary military outfit, led by the fiercely unapologetic Lieutenant Aldo Raine, a Tennessee native with a thick Southern drawl and a scar slicing through his neck. They're Jewish-American soldiers on a vengeance campaign, trained for guerrilla warfare and tasked with one particular mission: kill Nazis. But not just kill, they scalp. Literally, it's psychological warfare with a personal twist. We will be cruel to the Germans, and through our cruelty, they will know who we are, Raine declares to his men. Each man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. His voice is calm, confident, and deadly. This isn't war. It's justice with a serrated edge. Among Raine's crew is Donnie Donowitz, nicknamed the Bear Jew, a brutal figure from Boston, known for smashing Nazi skulls with a baseball bat. Then there's Hugo Stiglitz, a former German soldier who murdered 13 Gestapo officers before being recruited by the Basterds. His name alone sends shivers through the Nazi ranks. One by one, they carve their legend across occupied Europe. Word spreads fast among terrified German troops. The Basterds are not a myth. They are real, and they are coming. Meanwhile, Adolf Hitler himself seethes with rage. He rants and pounds the walls of his war room as a Nazi officer reports on the growing whispers of this rogue unit. Hitler demands answers. Who are they? How many are there? Why are they so effective? But no one can give him comfort. These men aren't following rules. They're writing their own. Back in the field, we see the Basterds in action. A group of captured German soldiers is forced to watch as Donnie Donowitz steps out from the shadows, bat in hand. One officer refuses to reveal the location of nearby Nazi units. He's defiant. until the Bear Jew caves in his skull. Blood, screams, and silence follow. The last remaining prisoner gives up the intel and is then marked with a swastika carved into his forehead by Raine himself. "You take off that uniform someday, I want you to remember what you are," he says. It's not just war, it's a theater. And the Bastards are setting the stage for something bigger, darker, and far more explosive. In Paris, the war rages quietly behind locked doors and altered identities. Shosanna Dreyfus, the same girl who escaped Colonel Landa's massacre, now runs a cinema under the alias Emmanuelle Mimieux. Her life is carefully constructed, detached from the past, until a familiar shadow once again looms over her. Friedrich Zoller, a celebrated German sniper turned Nazi war hero, becomes enamored with Shosanna. His charm is uncomfortable, his persistence dangerous. He's the star of an upcoming Nazi propaganda film, Nation's Pride, which reenacts his own battlefield kill count. To her horror, he convinces high-ranking officials, including Joseph Goebbels himself, to host the film's premiere at Shosanna's cinema. That means a theater packed with Nazi elite, possibly even Hitler. Friedrich thinks he's impressing her, but Shosanna sees opportunity. With the help of her lover and projectionist Marcel, she hatches a bold plan. Lock the Nazis inside and burn the building to ash. She has the ultimate weapon, highly flammable nitrate film stock, enough to turn her screen into a furnace. But the past isn't done haunting her. Colonel Hans Landa, now heading Nazi security for the premiere, visits the cinema to inspect it. He greets Shosanna with his trademark smile, calculated, polite, and terrifying. He doesn't seem to recognize her, but the tension is unbearable. Every glance, every question feels like a trap. Later, Landa requests a private conversation with her. Over strudel and milk, he needles her with subtle interrogation. She plays her part well. When he leaves, she breaks down in silent sobs, the terror and trauma flooding back. That night, Shosanna and Marcel sit in the empty theater. She lays out her plan. When the film reaches its climax, they'll seal the doors, set the nitrate reels ablaze, and trap the highest-ranking Nazis inside. "This is the face of Jewish vengeance," she says coldly. Meanwhile, the Allies are crafting their plot. British Lieutenant Archie Hycox is dispatched to rendezvous with famed German actress-turned-spy Bridget von Hammersmark. The goal? Infiltrate the film premiere alongside the Bastards and blow it up from within. 2 plans, 1 theater, 1 night that could change the war. The players are converging, and not all of them will survive the opening credits. Lieutenant Archie Hycox arrives in Paris with Hugo Stiglitz and Wilhelm Wicke, 2 of Aldo Raine's most ruthless bastards. Their mission? Meet Bridget von Hammersmark in a quiet basement tavern to finalize plans for the assassination of Hitler and other Nazi high command at the film premiere. But the setting couldn't be worse. The tavern, supposed to be low-key, is packed with loud drunken German soldiers celebrating the birth of a comrade's son. Bridget is already there, holding court like a starlet among fans. The tension is palpable the moment the trio descends into the smoky basement. Every smile feels forced. Every glance lingers a second too long. Hycox, posing as a German film critic, tries to blend in with a suspicious accent. Brimming with controlled rage, Stiglitz stands rigid, eyeing everyone like a predator. They make it to Bridget's table, but something's off. Major Dieter Hellstrom, an SS officer with a knack for sniffing out imposters, joins them, uninvited. The verbal game begins. Hellstrom questions Hycox's dialect and quirks. His instincts are sharp, and the Bastards are walking a razor's edge. When a toast is proposed, Hycox orders 3 glasses, but makes a fatal error. He raises his hand with 3 fingers, the British way. Germans use the thumb and first 2 fingers. Hellstrom notices instantly. It's the slip that shatters the entire operation. The mood turns deadly quiet. Guns are slowly drawn beneath the table. A standoff unfolds. Hellstrom, smiling but cold, informs Hicox that his Luger has been aimed at the lieutenant's genitals since he sat down. Hicox fires back, verbally, saying he's also had his pistol aimed at Hellstrom's under the table. The room holds its breath. Then chaos erupts. Hicox pulls the trigger. Stiglitz unloads his weapon. Bridget ducks for cover. Bullets fly. By the time the smoke clears, everyone is dead except Bridget, who's been shot in the leg. Aldo Raine arrives moments later, finding the blood-soaked aftermath. He's furious, grief-stricken, and suspicious. He grabs Bridget and demands answers. She pleads her innocence, blaming the accent slip for the disaster. But Aldo doesn't trust easily. He jams his finger into her wound, forcing her to scream the truth. Eventually, he relents. The plan must go on. Bridget, now limping and bloodied, insists she can still get them into the premiere. The Basterds will pose as Italians. It's insane. It's suicidal. It's precisely what they're going to do. The grand Nazi film premiere is underway at Shosanna's cinema, now chosen as the venue thanks to Frederick Zoller's infatuation. Dressed in tuxedos, Aldo, Donnie, and Omar pose as Italian filmmakers, armed with dynamite strapped to their ankles. Bridget, limping from her bullet wound, plays the part of a glamorous host, escorting them inside while trying not to collapse from pain. High above, Colonel Hans Landa prowls the balcony, watching the guests like a wolf sizing up a crowded henhouse. He spots Bridget and immediately hones in on her limp. He approaches with polite cruelty and insists on a private chat. In a chilling turn, Landa produces the shoe he found at the tavern and asks her to try it on. Just like Cinderella, if Cinderella were about to be choked to death. The shoe fits. Bridget's fate is sealed. With unnerving calm, Landa strangles her to death with his bare hands in a private room, her muffled screams silenced before anyone can intervene. No emotion crosses his face. Then he changes the game. Instead of arresting the Basterds, Landa captures Aldo and Smithson, the little man Udovich, and surprises them with a bold offer. He's willing to let Operation Kino proceed, but only if he gets immunity, a home on Nantucket Island, and full credit for ending the war. A Nazi trading in Hitler to become an American hero. Aldo is disgusted, but he plays along. Landa calls the Allies, setting up the terms of his surrender and sealing Hitler's fate. Meanwhile, in the projection booth, Shosanna and Marcel are preparing for a fiery finale of their own. As the propaganda film Nation's Pride reaches its climax on screen, Shosanna's pre-recorded message interrupts it. Her face appears, telling the Nazis they are about to die at the hands of a Jew. She gives Marcel the signal. He lights a pile of highly flammable nitrate film, so volatile it erupts into flames within seconds. The screen becomes an inferno. The exits are locked. Panic erupts inside the cinema. At the exact moment, Donnie and Omar storm the private box, where Hitler and Goebbels are seated. The Bear Jew and his comrade unload their machine guns. Hitler is shredded. Goebbels doesn't make it out. Neither do Donnie and Omar. They die in the blaze. Martyrs to their cause. The cinema burns, screams echo, bullets rain down, and vengeance is finally ignited. With the theater in smoldering ruins and the Nazi high command annihilated, Hans Landa escorts himself across enemy lines, clean, calculated, and wearing a smug grin. He's just handed Hitler to the Allies on a silver platter. Or so he thinks. He brings with him two prisoners, Lieutenant Aldo Raine and Smithson Udovich. They hike into Allied territory with a white flag and a radio. True to his word, Landa makes contact and negotiates his immunity, luxury accommodations, and a full pardon in exchange for ending the war. It's treason dressed up as strategy. But Lieutenant Aldo Raine doesn't buy it. After the radio operator signs the surrender documents, Aldo casually pulls out a pistol and shoots him point blank. No more witnesses. Landa flinches but masks his concern, still expecting clemency. That's when Aldo calmly announces that he doesn't take kindly to traitors, or Nazis who plan to rebrand themselves as American patriots. He informs Landa that he and Udovich have one last bit of business to attend to before letting him go. Landa looks uneasy. Aldo reminds him that when his men captured Nazis, they always left a calling card so they'd never take off the uniform, even if they tried. Udovich pins Landa down, who starts to squirm, now realizing this isn't just a routine pat-down, it's justice. Aldo removes a Bowie knife from his belt and carves a swastika deep into Landa's forehead. Deliberately slow, deliberately deep. Landa screams, begging for mercy, but none can be found. When Aldo steps back to admire his work, he smiles with grim satisfaction and says, "I think this just might be my masterpiece." It's not just revenge, it's branding evil, so it can never pretend to be good again. As the film closes, Nazi Germany lies in ruins, burned from the inside out by its own arrogance and by the people it tried to destroy. The Bastards lose comrades but win a war on their own bloody, unforgettable terms. A hero doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes he wears a grin and carries a knife. Inglourious Basterds isn't your average World War II movie. It's Tarantino unleashed, rewriting history with a smoking cigar, a machine gun, and a whole lot of vengeance. Rotten Tomatoes hailed it as a bold, audacious war epic, praising its sharply written dialogue and unforgettable performances. Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars, calling it a masterclass in tension, timing, and cinematic revenge. The New York Times praised the film's genre mashup, saying it flips war movie cliches upside down and lights them on fire. And let's not forget Christoph Waltz, whose chilling turn as Hans Landa earned him an Academy Award and instant villain legend status. Tarantino spent over a decade writing the script, waiting for the perfect moment and the perfect cast to bring his alt history fantasy to life. Much of the film was shot in authentic European locations, including an abandoned Nazi headquarters and 1940s French villages, lending the film its gritty period texture. Christoph Waltz almost didn't get the role. Tarantino feared no actor could pull off the charming but terrifying Landa. That was until Waltz walked in and blew everyone away. And yes, that explosive ending? Pure Tarantino, rewriting history with fire, bullets, and the kind of cinematic chaos only he could deliver. Quentin Tarantino masterfully blends pulp fantasy with real pain, allowing the oppressed to rise, fight, and win on their terms. Every character bleeds with tension, every line drips with irony, and every moment builds toward a fiery catharsis that few saw coming. Hans Landa's downfall isn't just a plot twist, it's poetic justice. Shosanna's final words echo beyond the flames. Aldo Raine's knife cuts through not just skin, but through legacy and lies. If you found this breakdown gripping, hit the like button, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell for more bold takes on cinema's wildest stories. Drop a comment. What would your code name be if you were one of the Bastards? We'll return with another unflinching look at movies that dared to break the rules.